Okay, hello YouTube. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Alekhines defense, and we're going to be taking a look at kind of a unique approach. So like after e4, knight f6, we're going to have e5, knight d5. And let's just say, you're just sick of playing the main lines of the Alekhines defense, starting with pawn to d4, which is fair, because some of these main lines can actually be very, very boring. Actually, some of these main lines are very similar to things that you would get out of, say, a Petros defense. So you just don't want to do it. You want to play something exciting, and you want to push black around. One really cute option, which was an option I was shown years ago, and actually the player that I saw play it was a guy named Emery Tate. And one interesting option is something called the two pawns attack. You can play c4 instead of d4, and then after knight b6, what you do is you go after that knight again, but not with the c pawn, and you don't push your d pawn, you push your a pawn. And this actually creates some very interesting problems for black. So obviously one thing that we're threatening to do right on the spot is we're threatening to trap that knight. We're threatening to play a5. So we're taking advantage of the fact that this knight doesn't have any good place to go. Now, black can respond with either d6 or d5 if he wants to, and that gives the knight a retreat square on d7. Now against d6 or d5, so like against d6, I think the best move objectively, even though this is a possibility, like you could play a5, knight d7, e6, and this is sort of unclear. We have kind of an open position over here for the black king, and we have some interesting compensation for the pawn we just sacrificed. It is probably quite a bit better just to play e takes d6, c takes d6, gain this tempo and space with a5, knight d7, and then play d4. And this is actually what was played in Furman versus Smil back in Biel in 2006. That game continued e6, knight f3. White just developed solidly and got a good position in the middle of the board. Having this pawn advance to a5 did nothing but help White's position. White just has extra space here. After d5, knight e5, he just had a very nice advantage in the middle of the board. He actually just ended up doing quite well with it. As you can see, black is just going to have a hard time finishing his development on the queen side. White's got a nice, aggressive, isolated queen pawn position in a very classical sense. Black didn't help himself by weakening his king side, but what else is black going to do? Black has just got some serious development issues. He has to find a way to help his position. White is getting kind of a big attack. And White sacrifices an exchange and goes after the remainder of black's kingside, which he opens up very quickly, and just plays for this very simple win. And the game is basically over. Just won a few more moves. And black resigned. He's losing everything. So this d6, and then just ed6, cd6, a5, d4, solid position for White. We just develop our pieces, we get a good game. And of course, because of this, we can do the same thing against d5. It's going to be the same thing. We just take en passant. We're in the exact same position. So that's just going to be slight edge White as well. So we can meet both of those moves by just advancing our pawn to a5. This seems like it only helps us. We get a good position in the middle of the board, and we have an advantage. But what if they play the super logical move, pawn to a5? Well, this is the idea. We rook lift. So we play to a4, and then we rook lift. We play rook a3. And this idea is actually really cute. So one of the ideas here is after, say, knight c6, we're going to play pawn to d4 and hold that pawn. And then it looks like they can start trying to break apart our whole center with a move like d6. But d6 doesn't quite work because now this sealer sacrifice is really clever. And this is actually played between Emery Tate and Herfel in Germany back in 1991. The idea behind e6, of course, is there is no bishop e6 because we have d5 winning the piece. They're going to have to play fe6, and that essentially seals up. This is what we call a sealer sacrifice. Because these pawns are in each other's way, it makes it very difficult to ever develop that bishop on f8. And it also makes these light squares incredibly weak for attacks where we can come in with the queen and bishop. So after fe6, this is basically the crux of the idea. Rook g3, making it essentially impossible to finish the development of the king side. I mean, for one thing, if g6 ever does get played, h4, h5 is on the table, and all of these rooks are perfectly lined up for this attack. So that this game continued e5. This makes logical sense. d5, knight d4, bishop e3. Tate decided to go ahead and get rid of the knight. Interestingly enough, bishop d3 might have been another way to go. Might have even been a little bit stronger. But bishop e3 was by no means bad. Bishop f5, bishop d3. We have queen d7, bishop takes d4, takes, knight e2, takes, queen takes a4, b3, knight d2. He finishes this development. He castles. And this position is almost winning for white, unbelievably enough. Like, black doesn't have any way to get these two pieces into the game ever. So we have a few more moves. Tate manages to improve his position, gets this knight to e6, and the game is practically over. He's just going to bring in the remainder of his pieces with his huge development lead. Notice this king is still in a firing range, and these bishop and this rook never got developed. The rook is on an open file. This is a mating net. White's got black in a mating net. And he finishes the mating net, and black resigns. It is mate in one. If king c7, this is going to be mate. We're going to have queen to c8, and that's going to be mate. So this is a very, very interesting option here that we have with the white pieces. We can play c4, we can play a4, and we can play this so-called two pawns attack with the idea of lifting this rook with rook to a3. Another interesting thing about lifting this rook with rook to a3 is if they play a move like e6, attacking this rook, we can kind of do the same thing. We can take this rook and we can move it to g3. And there's just, again, not a clear way that this bishop is going to develop. And again, if g6, we have h4, h5 is something that's going to be on the table. So this rook lift idea is cute. It's an idea that you can play. It's really adorable. If they play d6 or d5, we're just playing e takes d6. And in general, against d6 moves, we're going to be playing e takes d6. So anyways, I hope you found this idea interesting. I hope you learned something new about chess, and I hope you can employ this idea in your own games. Thank you very much for watching.